I feel sorry for his family that they have to live with the truth of who he really, really is.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're breaking down unsolved mysteries surrounding geography, world histories, and ancient civilizations that captured imaginations around the globe until that lucky breakthrough.
Actually, a lot of people thought, well, Fermat's last theorem, perhaps that's the last theorem, perhaps we finished mathematics.
The death of King Richard III.
It was here in the Midlands, on the battlefield at Bosworth during the War of the Roses, that he fell. The hunchback, so-called villain king was cut down on the pointy end of his successor's sword.
For centuries, Richard III's 1485 demise at Bosworth lived in the fog of legend. Modern archaeology and forensics cut through it. In 2012, excavators uncovered a skeleton beneath a Leicester car park on the former Greyfriars site. Subsequent DNA work matched living matrilineal relatives. Osteology confirmed adolescent-onset scoliosis, but a combat-capable frame.
I am a 17th generation nephew.
So that's nephew 17 times removed?
Yes, yeah.
It was through his mother Joyce that the mitochondrial DNA link was found.
So there am I with my brother and sister.
Right.
This is my mother, and this is the line all the way back to Anna of York.
The key revelation? Cause of death. A formal trauma study cataloged at least 11 perimortem injuries, 9 to the head, consistent with close quarters melee after the king's helmet was lost or removed. Sharp force and penetrating cranial blows were fatal. Additional humiliation wounds to the pelvis occurred post-mortem. The historical haze of a singular chivalric end gave way to a brutal, chaotic reality documented bone by bone.
We haven't cured cancer. We have identified a king, but that's a really, it has been a very interesting project to be a part of.
Yes, yeah. A crown on your head.
Oh no.
The sailing stones.
Geologist Richard Norris and his cousin Jim Norris say they have figured out what's behind the so-called sailing stones phenomenon of Death Valley that has puzzled scientists for decades.
Death Valley's racetrack playa looked supernatural. Heavy rocks sailed across the flats, carving long trails with no witnesses. The reveal took instrumented stones, on-site weather stations, and time-lapse cameras. In winter 2013-14, researchers directly observed a rare choreography. Thin sheets of floating ice formed overnight atop shallow playa water. By late morning, light winds pushed the ice like slow bulldozers, nudging embedded rocks over slick, saturated mud at centimeters per second speeds.
You have beautiful sunny day, you have a frozen surface of the pond of this ice floating on a few inches of liquid water. And when ice breakup takes place, when the ice begins to melt just enough under the light breezes, that big ice sheets drive the rocks in front of them and just plow them along the bottom of this shallow pond.
Tracks formed without gales, magnets, or pranksters. Just water, freeze-thaw, fragile ice panels, sun, and breeze. The phenomenon had eluded direct observation for decades because the right conditions are uncommon and short-lived. The mystery didn't break physics. It showcased its formidable power.
Actually seeing the process explains so much. It's like the scales fall from your eyes. You begin to figure out all these phenomena. And now we can go out there and read that playa, all these tracks and trails and so forth. It now makes sense.
The Franklin expedition.
The ships sailed down to King William Island. There they got trapped in the ice. In April 1848, crew members abandoned the ships and set out on foot, heading south. None of them lived.
Franklin's 1845 push for the Northwest Passage became a blank page of polar lore until modern archaeology, Inuit knowledge, and forensics filled it in. Parks Canada located HMS Erebus in 2014 and confirmed HMS Terror in 2016, opening shipboard time capsules, medicine bottles, navigation gear, personal chests.
Remains were discovered along the coast of the island. Some made it to the mainland. The remains at Erebus Bay would be a breakthrough. Stenton's team gathered samples from 27 crew members, then DNA tests from 17 modern descendants. They got one match.
On land, skeletal analyses documented cut marks and bone processing consistent with end-stage survival cannibalism, aligning with long-dismissed Inuit testimony. Recent DNA work even identified Captain James Fitzjames from a single molar, reframing the expedition's final days.
We have a positive DNA match, and I literally had to hold on to my seat. It was surreal. It was It was absolutely phenomenal.
Lead exposure is now viewed as a piece of the puzzle rather than definitive. Scurvy, exposure, disease, and starvation likely interacted fatally. The lost expedition isn't lost anymore. Its artifacts and bones tell a grim, tragically human story.
Well, the latest expedition at a famous shipwreck site in Nunavut has produced new artifacts and thousands of images. Underwater, archaeologists made 68 dives at the site of the ill-fated Franklin expedition. The ship set sail from England in 1845, but became trapped in ice near Nunavut.
The wow signal.
Astronomers are always listening into outer space, so imagine you're listening closely for something as quiet as a pin to drop. Bam, you hear something as loud as books slamming on a table. That's what happened in 1977. And take a look at this. This is the a copy of the actual notes that this astronomer made back then. You can see he circled the moment that the sound happened.
Detected on August 15, 1977, the narrow-band wow signal remains SETI's most famous outlier. The secret many hoped for, alien contact, never got a replication, and so it never cleared basic confirmation thresholds. Over the years, natural explanations have been proposed. In 2016 to 2017, Antonio Paris argued that hydrogen clouds from comets near the field could account for the 1420 MHz spike. The claim drew strong critique on positional and physical grounds.
This frequency, 1420 megahertz, the hydrogen line, comes from when you've zapped hydrogen, you've given it energy, and this is the frequency it screams at.
More recently, researchers have floated variants of a natural astrophysical transient illuminating a cold hydrogen cloud. The upshot? No consensus smoking gun, but the balance of expert commentary now favors a natural origin over ET.
Paris's theory explains the signal's disappearance, but not why it was broadcasting on such a cosmically significant wavelength.
This is a very small frequency and it's protected. So here on Earth, we cannot use that frequency.
The Humpback whale song mystery.
So what we do is we use a directional hydrophone system which has effectively two receivers that are spaced at 4.5 times the spacing between our ears. And that allows us to kind of use those kind of amplitude differences that we would normally use in air to effectively resolve which direction the song is coming from.
Why do humpbacks sing? And how do their songs change? The clearest pieces are now in. Only males sing. Song is tied to breeding grounds and functions as a sexually selected display, with evidence pointing toward male signaling and mate competition, not lullabies to females.
We're interested in the characteristics of a humpback whale song itself. The song is complex, it's hierarchically organized.
So what you see here is the full cycle of the song, and each one of these little bright dots right here is representative of basically a song unit.
The other revelation is cultural. Song types propagate across entire ocean basins via social learning, sometimes undergoing rapid revolutions, like pop hits sweeping the charts.
Animals tend to sing kind of canted, about anywhere from about 45 to 60 degrees down.
Most often they're alone, sometimes they're singing while in association with other whales.
Long-term data sets show songs can move unidirectionally across the South Pacific and evolve in complexity and themes year to year. There was no mysticism at play. It was culture, selection, and ecology intersecting. Complex, but not inscrutable.
The humpback whale song is just in itself very beautiful, but when you get in the water with them and you're right next to a singer and you feel that the tips of your fins and your lungs vibrating as a result, it definitely leaves a very strong impression on you.
Anastasia's fate.
Immediately after the execution of the Romanov family, the leader of the Bolshevik secret police, Yakov Yurovsky, announces the death of Tsar Nicholas II. While transparent about Nicholas, the Bolsheviks are far more withholding about the fate of his family.
The enduring rumor that Grand Duchess Anastasia survived the 1918 Romanov executions finally collapsed under DNA evidence. Bodies exhumed near Yekaterinburg in 1991 matched the imperial family and several servants, but 2 children were missing, fueling imposter claims for decades, most famously Anna Anderson.
On February 6, 1928, Anderson arrives in New York City claiming that she managed to escape her assassins. She states that she feigned her death by laying in the pile of her family's bodies, then convinced a guard whom she befriended during captivity to carry her and her younger brother to safety.
In 2007, a nearby site yielded burned, fragmented remains of 2 people. A 2009 multi-lab DNA study matched those remains to the Romanov family and specifically accounted for the Tsarevic Alexei and one sister, extinguishing the survival myth. Earlier tests on Anderson's tissue had already shown no Romanov relation. The secret is no longer a romantic historical mystery. It's a closed forensic case.
After all the rumors and speculation, years of false leads, dead ends, and imposters, a simple DNA test concludes that Duchess Anastasia, the last of the Romanovs, died alongside the rest of her family on July 17, 1918.
The Umbrella Man.
On November 22nd, it rained the night before, but everything cleared by about 9 or 9:30 in the morning. So if you were looking at various photographs of the motorcade route and the crowds gathered there, you will have noticed nobody's wearing a raincoat.
Conspiracy lore casts the Umbrella Man at Dealey Plaza as a signalman or assassin. The demythologizing came not from agents, but from the man himself, Louis Stephen Witt.
In all of Dallas, there appears to be exactly one person standing under an open black umbrella. And that person is standing where the shots begin to rain into the limousine.
In 1978, he testified under oath to the U.S. House Select Committee on Assassinations that he brought the umbrella to heckle Kennedy, riffing on a 1930s political symbol associated with Neville Chamberlain, and by extension, Joseph P. Kennedy Sr.'s alleged appeasement sympathies. The committee's records identify Witt and preserve his account. Nothing in the forensic or ballistic record ties an umbrella to any weapon or signal. In the end, things were neither sinister nor cinematic. Witt was simply trolling, mid-century style.
If you have any fact which you think is really sinister, right, is really obviously a fact which can only point to some sinister underpinnings, hey, forget it, man, because you can never on your own think up all the non-sinister, perfectly valid explanation.
The Golden State Killer's identity.
The chilling moment in the sentencing of one of America's most notorious serial killers, the sentencing of the Golden State Killer in California. Former police officer Joseph DeAngelo Jr. sentenced to life with no parole.
A faceless predator who committed heinous acts across California in the 1970s to 80s was unmasked in 2018 as Joseph James DeAngelo. The breakthrough was investigative genetic genealogy. Crime scene DNA generated a profile which investigators uploaded to an open genealogy site to locate distant relatives. Traditional detective work narrowed the family tree, discarded DNA from the suspect, and confirmed the match.
He stole my youth, my innocence. Who could I have grown up to be? I guess I'll never know.
He was one of the most sadistic serial killers in history, even taunting victims with phone calls. He was captured living in plain sight in 2018.
DeAngelo pleaded guilty in 2020 and received multiple life sentences. The reveal didn't just solve a case, it transformed policing, spurring DOJ guidance, opt-in policies, and debates over privacy and scope. A long-kept secret, his name, ended with a lab bench and a family tree.
I feel like maybe he was good to his family members. He hid behind that mask. You know, maybe he did pretend to be a different person.
Michelle Cruz's sister, Janelle, was DeAngelo's final murder victim.
Fermat's last theorem.
X squared plus y squared equals z squared, which gives us the relationship between the sides of a right-angled triangle. For example, 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. But what if I change the squares to cubes, for example, or 4th powers or 5th powers? Are there any solutions to these equations?
For 358 years, Fermat's marginal t's taunted mathematics. The reveal arrived not as a neat page, but as a deep bridge between number theory and geometry. Andrew Wiles proved, with a crucial correction developed with Richard Taylor, a key case of the modularity theorem for semi-stable elliptic curves, together with Ribet's theorem, that collapsed Fermat's last theorem as a corollary.
Now, trying to prove that you can't find solutions is somehow much more difficult than actually finding 3 numbers which solve that equation. And that's why it really was one of the biggest challenges for mathematicians for 350 years. We just couldn't find a reason to show why these equations couldn't be solved. Until, that is, Andrew Wiles came up with his great solution.
The corrected proofs appeared in the Annals of Mathematics in 1995 and have since been foundational. The secret wasn't a clever elementary trick Fermat squeezed into a margin. It was 20th century machinery, Galois representations, modular forms, and an audacious isomorphism strategy.
Being able to have your name on something like Fermat's last theorem, which mathematicians have been trying to prove for 350 years, that's the ultimate pride.
The Antikythera Mechanism. Pulled from a Greek shipwreck in 1901, this corroded lump turned out to be a 2nd century BCE gear computer. The breakthrough came with high-resolution X-ray CT in the mid-2000s, revealing hidden inscriptions and a dense gear train that predicted lunar phases, eclipses, and planetary motions, and tracked calendars and Olympiads. Later work refined the front-face model and celestial display architecture. The secret is twofold: the device's ambition, modeling the cosmos in bronze, and the sophistication of Hellenistic engineering, long underestimated by modernists. What once looked like an enigma is now clearly the result of human ingenuity, a hand-cranked universe in a box. Weeping statues.
There's a statue of the Virgin Mary that appears to be crying tears inside a Reading shop.
9 News reporter Janelle Walton was inside the shop. Janelle, what did you see?
You've probably seen it on the news or in a movie. A religious statue is weeping, and usually some kind of red liquid just to make it that much creepier. This phenomenon is often associated with miracles, as, a statue should not be crying. However, there are many non-religious reasons why a statue might be crying. In some cases, the water is nothing but condensation, and if the statue is made of porous materials, moisture can seep through and resemble tears. There also might be psychological perceptions at play, or just good old-fashioned tampering for the sake of fame and attention. Even the Catholic Church ignores weeping statues for the most part, and have called out a number of examples as hoaxes.
You're imagining it. 3 of us saw it, Aaron. How do you explain that? Sleep deprivation? Parano? Delusional personality disorder.
The Salish Sea discoveries.
It is becoming all too common in BC. Another foot has washed up on shore, this time in Richmond, and it looks like a woman's left foot in a New Balance running shoe.
The western coast of North America is the site of one of the most gruesome mysteries in modern history. Beginning in the summer of 2007, a number of human feet, often still inside their shoes, have washed ashore in British Columbia, Tacoma, and Seattle. A number of macabre theories have been put forth, including the possibility of a serial killer, but the reality is far more mundane. People die at sea, often in tragic boating accidents, and their bodies decompose in the water. As this happens, the extremities, like hands and feet, break away from the body, and because the feet are trapped inside the shoes, they are most likely saved from decomposition and buoyed, allowing them to float to shore in the currents.
Shoes and feet washing up. There's been a dozen of them or so, and you hear about them over the years, and it's just kind of a unique local phenomenon.
The Tunguska event. In the early morning of June 30th, 1908, a remote area of Russia was hit with a massive and mysterious blast.
In 1 hour, the explosion and the great fire that followed destroy a region of forest the size of Greater London.
People who observed that thought the end of the world had come, Judgment Day, divine intervention.
This blast completely leveled over 800 square miles of forest and flattened 80 million trees. No source could be found for the explosion, so no one knew what exactly happened.
It's an event and it's a mystery that would take 105 years of research before we could finally write the words. The end.
Thousands of scientific papers have been written about the incident, and the area has been studied for decades, with many trying to crack the bizarre case. It is now generally agreed that a 200-foot meteor traveling 60,000 miles per hour exploded in midair over the area, resulting in what's called a meteor airburst. This airburst then leveled everything below the meteor's detonation site.
If it was a meteorite, and the Earth had turned a bit further, it would have destroyed St. Petersburg. An hour later, it would have destroyed Helsinki. 1 hour later, Stockholm, and after that, Oslo.
Crocker Land.
Did he tell you what we're supposed to do? He did. Well? He wants us to move the island.
The 19th and 20th centuries were filled with brilliant adventures into the Earth's poles, but you probably haven't heard of the Crocker Land expedition. American explorer and Navy officer Robert E. Peary described an enormous mountainous land that he could see from Ellesmere Island in the Canadian Arctic. He named it Crocker Land after his financial backer, George Crocker, and an expedition set out to find and map it. Yet, they found no such island, despite its supposedly immense size. It simply didn't exist. What a tantalizing mystery. No, seriously, it didn't exist. As we later learned through his personal diary, Perry made the whole thing up, probably to secure more funding from an excited Crocker.
Where's the island? Where's the island?
The construction of the pyramids. The Giza pyramids are arguably the most famous landmarks in the world. They continue to stand tall, literally, after thousands of years. Their construction has baffled people for millennia, leading some to suggest that aliens must have been involved. After all, humans couldn't possibly drag and lift those stones into place, right? Well, yes, they could. Researchers believe that workers loaded the blocks onto sledges and wet the sand to make them easier to drag. They raised the blocks using ramps and levering techniques. This took tens of thousands of people decades to complete. But hey, no one said building a wonder of the world was easy. The Windsor hum.
I've been listening to it for a while. It gets very aggravating. I'm outside quite a bit because I'm a smoker and I listen to it constantly.
There are a weird number of hums heard throughout the world, each described as a persistent and irritating whine. One of the most notable examples was found in Windsor, Ontario. The sound was described by many as a low, droning vibration, and it was loud enough that one evening in 2012, over 20,000 people reported it to the local police. Alas, the mystery was finally solved in 2020, and thousands of annoyed residents could finally rest easy. Literally, the sound was sourced to nearby Zug Island, a heavily industrialized area just off Detroit, and specifically, the blast furnaces operated by US Steel. When these furnaces were deactivated in April of that year, the sound ceased, and peace was restored.
To hear the folks at United States Steel tell it, this is not permanent. No mothballs, no shuttering of a plant. They're calling it an indefinite idling as they try and make their operation more efficient.
The surgeon's photograph.
1934. The first photo of the supposed Loch Ness Monster incites public frenzy and a torrent of tourists looking for Nessie.
A massive dinosaur-like head emerging from Scotland's Loch Ness. The photo has entranced the public ever since its publication in 1934, with many believing it to be verifiable proof of the elusive Loch Ness Monster. But even for those who didn't believe in the mythical monster, a lingering question still remained. What exactly was this? It wasn't until the 1990s that we got firm answers. In 1991, a man named Christian Sperling admitted that the photo was a hoax, having built the monster using a toy submarine and wood putty. He then conspired with a number of others in order to fool the Daily Mail into publishing a bogus story, which it famously did.
So using plastic, wood, and a toy submarine, they create this model of a creature with a long neck and a small head.
Stonehenge.
The awe-inspiring stone circle is an enduring mystery. Despite centuries of intense scrutiny,
one of humanity's greatest marvels, Stonehenge has been standing for thousands of years.
The widely accepted theory is that the Stonehenge landscape was a large cemetery, a place to bury and worship the dead.
But where exactly did the giant stones come from? They are all pretty symmetrical, 13 feet high, 7 feet across, and each weighing 25 tons. Experts have been trying to crack the case for hundreds of years. Some will have you believe that it was aliens, but no, it was really just the nearby woods. In 2019, researchers were able to do tests on a small piece of extracted stone and sourced it to the nearby West Woods in Wiltshire. The location has finally been pinned down, but one tantalizing question remains. How did they drag these 25-ton boulders 15 miles to the south?
Clearly some very, very powerful people around at that time who are being able to control resources, control the labour force to create some of the largest monuments we've ever seen.
The collapse of the Maya civilization. The largest and most sophisticated pre-Columbian civilization of the Americas, the Maya, flourished for thousands of years.
They mastered mathematics and astronomy, perfected the first written language of the Western Hemisphere, and produced stunning works of art.
The civilization entered its so-called classic period in the year 250, and this lasted until 900. It was around then that the entire political system collapsed, and the Maya abandoned their most important cities to move north. With this, the Maya civilization entered what is called its post-classic period. So what the heck happened? It's a mystery that has plagued historians for years. The answer was finally found in the 21st century. Turns out that the Maya were so overpopulated that they damaged the environment and created a devastating drought.
The extreme intensity of these droughts was disastrous, making a carefully managed response their only hope.
With their agriculture thoroughly destroyed, the Maya were forced to abandon their most populous cities.
Today, the empty jungles of the Yucatan serve as a reminder that even great civilizations can fail.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Vast, ominous, mythical. The Bermuda Triangle, also known as the Devil's Triangle, one of the greatest mysteries of our time.
Everyone knows of the mythical Bermuda Triangle. Found between Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and the Florida coast, the triangle is said to be a hotspot of paranormal activity, prone to swallowing ships and planes, and leaving their fates unknown. It's one of the most enduring mysteries of American pop culture. Only, there isn't really a mystery, and this has been known since at least the mid-70s. That's when Larry Cush published The Bermuda Triangle Mystery Solved, and posited that the triangle does not have a higher incident rate than any other part of the ocean. Furthermore, many of the original stories were either highly exaggerated or just outright made up. It's just a fun story, and nothing more.
Using the terminology of today, you would call the triangle.
Well, I mean, this is the oldest fake news story in the world. I mean, this has been around for a long time, and, people build on it.
Which world secret would you most like to see solved? Let us know in the comments.